welcome aboard Joe Albrethsen of Wobbl3, who made a game that we featured on the first 15 called DubWars that was a total surprise to us. And I got very curious how such a game could possibly have been made in our universe. So thanks for coming on the show, Joe.
Oh man, excited to be here.
Listen, the excitement has only begun. I'm going to wage a campaign of excitement, and it's going to be a real treat. So let's get into that exactly. Like, you saw the video that we did, the first 15 that I did with my friend Mike, where I expressed I was completely incredulous that, because you basically broke all these rules. You broke all these sort of rhythm music game rules where it's not really about timed inputs. You know what I mean? It isn't really about extensive DLC. You carved out this weird space for this weird game, and I have to know what environment created this insane thing.
Well, geez, I don't even know where you want to begin. It's quite the story.
Yeah. Well, why don't you? Why don't I play DubWars?
All right, let's do this. So essentially, I got started in a university, and my senior year, I joined another project that was called Skylantis. And
Skylantis?
Yeah. Team been working on it for about a year and a half. And when I joined, we decided to, spend a little bit of time on it. The feedback we got was there's nothing special about this game. It doesn't really offer anything unique or exciting. And, it looks kind of terrible, like it, was born in the 90s. And so we said, okay, well, let's shut this down and let's start working on something else. And so we transitioned to a game that we titled Cape Chronicles. And so it was a 2.5D side scroller, 4 players. You're these knights.
So it's exactly like DubWars, basically.
Yeah, exactly. So your health is an elemental power. And so we put this cool thing together, worked on it for 6 months, and I was one of the backers of the Ouya Kickstarter campaign. Yeah,
that little Android-based cube console, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And so with that, when we got our dev kit, imagine playing Mario with 8-second input lag. That was how our game ran on that device.
So you tried, like you were a believer, like you were trying to fight the good fight.
Yes. And so, we looked around, we said, okay, we've got a couple options. We can try and make this work on the console, or we can try and come up with something new and innovative. So I put a brainstorm session together, and the team looked around. We came up with 8 titles on what we should make. And we whittled it down. Everybody kind of had their, I want to make this title, I want to make that title. And one of the ideas that came out was, let's make a video game to dubstep. And everybody cheered. Everybody went, yeah. And I actually had to tell everyone to shut up so that we could go on through the list.
So you could choke down the rest of the non-dubstep ideas?
Yeah, exactly. And so we ended up eliminating the dubstep game. And so we got to the end, and I can't honestly even remember what game was chosen, because I looked around and everybody was kind of like, I guess we're making this game. I said, screw it, we're making the dubstep one, and then everybody cheered again. So I knew that was definitely the right decision there.
Yeah, sometimes, you need to let the will of the people be heard.
That's right.
You just have to accept it. So that's nutballs. So in your mind, game based on dubstep, there's about 100 million games that could be. Sure. Was there ever a point where it had more traditional rhythm style gameplay?
Yes, I mean, early on in the creation process, so we actually started with a different version.
Oh, so altogether.
Think Twisted Metal 4-player combat to dubstep music. So that was our first attempt.
Was it 2D or was it still top down?
It was 3D, so it was almost like a Mario Kart-esque type of experience. And what we found was we had a dubstep artist that gave us some tracks that looped. And so the whole idea was you'd drive around, you pick up different weapons that were associated with different sounds, and then as you fired, it would make music. And so we're thinking, oh my gosh, this is going to be such a hit.
So did you ever see Chroma?
Yes, I did actually.
Okay, what did you think of is Chroma? And of course, I'm talking about the collaboration between Hidden Path and Harmonix,
right?
Which was basically a 3D shooter style game where the instruments and functionally speaking classes that you chose had something to say in the level about the type of music you made, and it tried to incentivize players to shoot on the beats, for example.
Yeah,
and then one day that they stopped working on that project altogether, right? I mean, something didn't line up with that project. Is that what you discovered also with yours?
Yeah, so I mean, with Chroma, I only saw bits and pieces of it. It seemed like the feedback wasn't positive.
Yeah.
So with ours, we ran into the problem with the multiplayer that it started to be kind of muddy and repetitive. And so what we decided at the time was, let's just go single player, let's make the music the focus, and let's twist it to where everything is built around the song.
Yeah, see, again, so like I was saying, there's just a lot of iconoclasm and rule breaking that surrounds the game. And one of the weirder things that you chose to do, I don't mean that you're a weird person or that your team is weird, although it's possible.
I told you.
Yeah. So basically, each of these levels that you have here are different. They're functionally speaking different games. Like, it isn't like you have a baseline sort of experience. I mean, I guess you have a ship that moves around, but the way that the ship interacts with the music and the style and execution of the bullets and the beams, they're not really set from level to level. I mean, functionally speaking, you had to reinvent the wheel on every level for the song. And I don't feel like this would have been a common. I don't feel like this would be a common approach to a music game. Generally speaking, you try to figure out what those basic interactions are, and then you iterate in the way that you reward the players with music that they like, or songs that they like, or riffs that are interesting. But this, you basically redo it the entire time, each level.
Yeah. So we did start out with a version that was kind of similar throughout, but I kind of made the decision that I didn't want to fall into this audio surf or beat hazard type of situation where you have.
But those hold on, those games, they're huge. Why?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you want to do that?
What I mean is, I didn't want to set up the gameplay to feel generic. That it's just kind of the same thing.
You didn't want it to be algorithmic, right? You didn't want it to be sort of like it's interpreting the waveform, and then you sort of know how it's going to get.
Yeah, I felt like that there was a huge piece missing, and that you weren't really tapping into the potential of what I call the audio creativity from the producer. And so that's where we created a tool set that we actually go in and handcraft everything. So we get the stems from the artist, we go through, we listen to each piece of the music and decide what things do we want to interact with, what things should be part of weapons.
What things are cool, right? And that completely comes across. So in the video that I made with Mike, where we were first exposed to the game, you gave him access to the music in a way. I need to pause this because this is really important to me. So this is a huge battle that I'm constantly fighting with him, and it's not even his fault. There's just parts of music that he can't perceive at all. Like when he sings a harmony part, or when he tries to sing along with the music that we have like playing in our office when we're working on stuff, he is so far off pitch that it's like a harmony. Like sometimes he is so off pitch that it sounds good. Like that's when you know That's when you know there's a serious problem, right?
Nice.
And now it makes sense. So if you're actually taking it from the stems, if you're actually, which are basically each part of the song separated, right?
Correct.
If you're taking it from that, and you're even listening to them individually, and not as the combined thing that they're designed to be, but you're actually taking each part of it on its own terms, that explains what I'm seeing in the game. I would say, especially in that first level, which is a really, really good example of what you guys are able to accomplish over there.
Yes.
Obviously, there's the pyrotechnic, basically playing a, laser light show. That's a pretty good genre. I suggest you continue to investigate that. But he could see, because he's a very visual person, you let him understand music the way that I understand music, in such a effortless way. Like I appreciate it. Like what you did is not normal. Like it represents an approach that is holistic to music and visualizing music. I don't know. I thought it was really cool.
Yeah, I mean, when we started out, we definitely fell into the trap of, Guitar Hero and Rock Band.
Yeah, that's exactly what I would have done.
Interactions to the beat, and things like that. But, it was kind of convoluted. We were trying to do too much. And it was really when we hit our stride that we just simplified it. I mean, it's just move and aim. That's it. So, it's all about how can we make it more immersive? How can we make, the experience enjoyable? Because we've had messages where people are like, oh my gosh, DubWars, like, I hate dubstep music. And then all of a sudden, 3 hours later, I love dubstep music. It's like the context that we're using it in is what makes it really enjoyable.
Yeah, exactly. Because it sort of became a meme, right? Like, yeah. Liking dubstep is not an okay thing to do. Right?
Right. It kind of has this negative connotation to it, but it's like, when you really get into it, I mean, there's so much, with any genre, there's so much good music within the EDM scene, and I'm excited for us to be a part of it. And we're just at the beginning stages, and, we're looking at going and taking our tool set to other music genres, other game genres, and really exploring how far we can push and redefine the music integrated category.
Interesting. So that's how you think of it. So you don't think of it as a rhythm game at all. In your mind, there is this other entity called the music related or rhythm related category.
Well, I guess I consider it music integrated.
Yeah.
So it's not just about listening to music. It's about what are the actions and the visuals that can coincide, because I mean, back in the old day when you used to stare at the computer monitor, I mean, this is a lot more engaging, and there's purpose to it, so it's fun.
Yeah, this, just so you know, Joe, this level's mean as shit. There is a lot of particle activity, and there's these weird star lobsters that I'm not okay with. They come down out of the corner. These are jerks. So something that I do like, gameplay wise, is that you're really meant to play these levels more than one time.
Yes.
In my case, even just to survive them, because I need your wubs just to get enough health to beat your level, I think.
Yes, you do.
Yeah, because this is on a different tier than the other stuff that I play.
Yeah, you're getting towards the center of our little eye
constellation. The galaxy, yeah.
Yeah. And so this would be the second to last level, so that's why it's a little bit more brutal.
Okay. Thank goodness.
And so after you get to the next one, that's like where we take it to the max. We have a level that is called Tough Guy, and so yeah, you pretty much get to prove yourself on that one.
Yeah, that's the wall.
Yeah. Yep.
So it sounded like you've had a chance to meet the artists that have put together these tracks. Is that an ongoing thing for your team? Like what's the life cycle of, like I said, in a musical game like this, generally speaking, it's about trying to release, you know, custom gameplay tracks and things like that. Is that sort of the life cycle you see for this also, or do you see sort of just continuously expanding the core game with the new artists that you meet?
Yeah, so I mean, essentially, we're going to have a DLC model where we can add in new music.
Yeah.
And so every time we license a song, we essentially do start from scratch.
You have to. Yeah, that's the rock you have designed.
But I love it, though. I mean, I'm on the creative side. I really love to dig in deep and say, okay, who's the artist? What's their background? What's the name of the song? What's the inspiration for the song? And so we get as much information from them as we can so that we can put something cool that is meaningful to not only them, but their community that they've built.
Yeah. It's very personal. The role, like the sort of like high priest role that like the dubstep artist has.
Nice.
Right? I mean, they are exerting tremendous energy. I think that's where some of the bifurcation comes, where you can hate dubstep mimetically, but if you've ever seen it performed and seen it experienced, it's a different. The people have a relationship with it, right?
Yes. So yeah, I was just at the TwitchCon party with Steve Aoki, and so I mean, not only is he just a master at entertainment because he can control a crowd, but you know, it's enjoyable. It's fun to be out there, and yeah, I was on this front corner of the stage, and I totally got caked Saturday night. So.
So I was able to manage. Oh, here's Tough Guy. So you're telling me that I'm in trouble here?
Yes. So things are going to get crazy for sure.
Now, do I see some other holes here in your galaxy?
Yeah. So the way it works is if you start at Urban Metaphor, at the very end of the level, there's some that have 2 portal options, and so you're going to be able to branch out. And so we didn't just do a straight linear approach. We actually have some, like choose your weapon in the bottom left has 3 options.
Yeah, so, it's on brand for, you know, choosing, right?
Yeah, exactly. And so that way, you know, there's some replayability not only through the different difficulties, but to kind of unlock the levels themselves.
So do you think, so this was the result of basically putting it out to everybody, here's what we can make. Do you think that you've sort of stumbled on something that you guys are going to work on for a while?
I believe so.
This sort of integrated format?
Yeah, because as we build out our tool set, we're going to start to experiment, you know, as I mentioned, in other music genres, other game genres. I think this is really going to be the core of Wobbl3, and that's part of the reason why I created Wobbl3. So we started out as Mura Interactive, which had like 0 resonance with people.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say that's the name we called.
Yeah.
So back in the day, that's how you were doing it.
Yeah. So that was the development side. So Wobbl3, you know, I created another company to be kind of more of, you know, the marketing presence. And so I mean, we've got this fun little character with headphones. I think it speaks better. And it's Wobbl3 with a 3. Yeah. I mean, it just speaks more to the audience.
As soon as you take a letter and you turn it into a number, instant gold, instant connection, all demographics. You stand astride the world, essentially.
Yep. So I think that the music integrated scene is going to be our core market, but you know, I've got notebooks full of ideas and, you know, things that, you know, 99% will never come to fruition. But I definitely look forward to, you know, other titles that we can work on that are not music related at all. But this is a lot of fun, and I really do see us focused on this for several years to come.
Yeah, I mean, this is a hot, if I may say so. This is a great track. It's so different from the rest of the catalog. Doesn't really investigate the vocalist aspect very much. You might have a sample or something like that, but this is a really neat experience. It's sort of like when you get to the end of some of the coolest. Well, you know, Rez is a good example of a game that that does what you're doing here.
Right.
Which is that it's aware of it's cognizant of rhythm, but rhythm is not required to play or enjoy it. And that's what we figured out eventually when I was talking to Mike about what DubWars allowed him to do. And then by the time you get to the end of those, they get more humanized. Like the audio and the experience actually gets more personal. Because the other tracks aren't collaborations like this, right? Or there might be some just in Portals I haven't seen yet.
Yeah, so I mean, Choose Your Weapon was another collab, but most of them have just been one artist, and so this is where Cell Dweller, did a great track with Tough Guy, and then Tim Eisman came in and did the remix version of it, so it just added a ton of that energy. But what I love about the model that we've created is, we get to step in, and each level gives us the opportunity to experiment with. Like this one with the zooming and the spinning.
Yeah,
and
this is weird as shit.
Right. And so it's like, how can we continue to be creative on this small arcade space that is our canvas?
Right. So when do you start commissioning?
I mean, we're at that point to where we're looking for great artists to collaborate with, and so. I've got a roster that, is growing rather quickly, and it kind of comes down to, we can only push out so much content so fast right now. But as we continue to scale, then, I'm kind of toying with an idea here because we've got a lot of feedback from the community, and they're like, well, can I add my own music? And, the answer right now is no. And I don't know if that'll ever be the case because I really am fond of the handcrafted experience. So one thing we may do is set up our tool set to be through a Steamworks activation.
Oh, that's it. No, that's the call, right? So your work can always be like this. But but the reality, right, is that every time you put a level together, you're creating these custom assets, and you're making these original expressions of the songs, right?
Right.
I wonder if the tool set that people use on the Steamworks side, every time you guys do a piece of official content, I wonder if the kit that your community gets doesn't just get broader as a result, right?
Yeah.
So basically, you are just continually embroidering this canvas with the work that you do on each individual track, right?
Yeah.
I think I totally understand what you mean, and I think that for your work you definitely want to keep it that way. But I think there is a space for other people to come in and interact with that zone you've made.
Yeah, and what we're kind of looking to do moving forward is we want to work with artists that have unreleased music, and so that we can set up a co-marketing effort to where not only do you get to hear a new piece of music, but now it's got an engagement factor through the game. And so this way, we can kind of align our forces and really make a splash.
Yeah, right. That's the fantasy, right? To be the place music gets launched.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Absolutely.
That sounds okay. That seems like a pretty good system. Here, let me see what I can do about these wubs. If you have any suggestions for how I can defeat your satanically difficult level, listen, and I want to be honest with you. The big green beam that comes out on both sides, it's not necessary. Level is already very challenging, Joe Albrethsen.
Yep.
See that again.
What you're playing is like a super toned down version. So I mean, I had things like, we're talking old school video games. I grew up on Ghouls and Goblins, and some of these games that you like sometimes you never beat because they're just so difficult. And so I definitely worked with the rest of the team and some of the other designers to
humanize it.
Yeah, to actually make it playable. So, and part of that is through the different difficulties. And so, one of the secrets that I would recommend is definitely upgrade your health first.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I've got sick wubs now. I should be able to steroid myself through the
Yeah.
through the level.
As you play, you get bonus wubs for the length that you survive and some of the objectives that you have and things like that. And so it all starts to, compound towards unlocking different weapons and health and stuff like that.
Being in the right, I think that I could one day get sort of reasonable about getting away from your green rod.
Yeah.
But man, if you're not in the right place, I see. I was not reading the telegraph on that at all. There we go. I feel like I'm just seeing it for the first time.
Yeah, it's brutal. I mean, you definitely want to stay close, and you got to decide whether it's going clockwise or counterclockwise. You can outrun it. You just have to be close.
Yeah, you have to be very near the spindle, right in the middle.
Yep. That's right.
All right, I'm gonna try it one more time. By God, this is very much a laser level, I think.
Yeah, we got a lot of the guitar riffs, and the lightning is pretty cool to work with on this one.
Okay. One more try. Is there anything? The future is more songs, more tracks.
Yeah.
How else do you think that music could be visualized and made sort of adjacent to gameplay experiences like this? Like, let me into this notebook of yours for a second.
Okay, so you're talking about like other types of ideas that we could.
Yeah, I'm saying you're Joe. You're from Wobbl. Chart me a course here.
Okay. Essentially we started out with EDM because it's got a lot of the instrumental. It hits really hard. It's really exciting. And so from that, I've kind of got this grand vision of how do we weave together this story? Because
now you're thinking about the overall like an IP.
Yes. So what's happened in this DubWars universe is they've, the science and the technology and the mystery, they've been able to harness music as a power.
Okay, so this is like your D&D campaign or something, right? Like you know why I'm dealing with all these cyber sharks.
That's right. And so from that, we want to start piecing the lore together. So I've got ideas for kind of a prequel that was leading up to what DubWars is now, and then I've got ideas that are going to be coming, after this. And so some of the genres that we're exploring, would be like a tower defense. We're looking at some first-person shooter. I've got a really exciting VR experience that
this is why I asked you that question to begin with. Most of the games I mess around with on Tycho Tries are VR games, just because that's where my head is at right now. I never intended it to be the sole focus of it. But yeah, what are you doing? What's your VR plan?
I'll keep a little bit close to the chest.
Yeah, that's okay. But please tell me all of it.
The high level of it is just kind of like what you're playing. It's going to be a 3 to 5 minute experience that is tied to music. That it's got these elements in gameplay and actions that are similar to this, but in more of like a first person type of scenario.
I'm okay with that. I'm not mad at it, as they say. That sounds alright.
And again, like we're working with non-exclusive licenses with pre-existing tracks. As we start to move forward, and the plan is, how can we work with artists and collaborate on exclusive content or on content that we have ambitions to utilize through a specific game. So the path for us is wide open, and we're definitely getting started, but I'm excited what the future holds for us.
Yeah. Well, if you ever want to talk to a writer person about a way to mesh together your cyber sharks and audio squids and other bizarre creatures.
Yes.
I know a guy.
Okay,
His
perfect.
name is Jerry
You could make
Holkins.
that connection. That would
And
be
you're
amazing.
Talking to him right now. It's me, is what I'm saying.
Okay.
I'm the person that I was referring to. 95%. Okay, that's no joke. That's
good.
That's real improvement. Well, hey,
Yes.
Thanks for rolling through. If you're ever in town again, come up. I'll show you where they got the good hand-shaved noodles.
Absolutely. I look forward to it.
All right, see you, Joe.
Thanks.